Welcome to Smart Women Talk. This is your host, Katana Abbott. I'm a midlife millionaire coach and a certified financial planner, and I search the world for smart women and a few good men, including best-selling authors and thought leaders who are on that leading edge. So join us for conversations on money, business, health, and inspiration so you can live with more purpose, passion, and prosperity. Hello, everyone. This is Katana Abbott. I'm your host, and I want to welcome you to Smart Women Talk. Today, we're going to be speaking with the founder and president of the Women's Travel Group, Phyllis Stoller. And she's going to talk to us about having a great trip, even when traveling on your own. So we're going to talk about the places to travel to, even if you're a single woman, and why traveling as a solo woman isn't as unusual anymore, and packing strategies, and then how to deal with those airline issues. So let me tell you a little bit about our guest. Phyllis Stoller is a pioneer in travel for women. She's an expert in boomer women travelers and a graduate of Tufts University. Phyllis studied and she lived abroad for many years. She was an international banker prior to founding her tour company for women. The focus of her company, the Women's Travel Group, is taking personal care of the solo woman traveler with engaging itineraries and speakers. So Phyllis has appeared on CNN, Today Show, and Lifetime, and many other places. She speaks at major travel events and to private groups. She was awarded the A-list travel agent for women's travel by Travel and Leisure. Phyllis is also named one of the most influential women by Group Travel Magazine and more. And she writes a blog that's received many awards, so you'll want to visit her site. So Phyllis, welcome to Smart Women Talk. This is so exciting, especially with travel opening up again. It's great to have you here.
Thank you very much. And I am thrilled to be here and finally meet you.
Yes, yes. And and I am a solo traveler. We were talking before we started the show about women have different reasons why they might travel. They might be single or divorced, widowed, but they also might travel solo just because they enjoy being with other women, I'm going to assume, or because their husbands or partners can't travel with them. And so that was my case. So I've done a lot of travel alone, and I really enjoy it. So can you tell us a little bit about this idea of why women like to travel alone?
Well, there's the solo woman traveler, and then there's the woman traveler in a group. Generally speaking, if we say solo, we mean you're going by yourself without a group, and you're doing everything by yourself. So what we specialize in is group travel for women. Most of the women are coming by themselves as opposed to solo. Why are they coming by themselves? You asked that question.
Yeah.
1,000 reasons, from young doctor too busy to plan a trip, doesn't want to have to deal with a co-ed group, to, and these are real examples, 83-year-old, healthy, all their friends are not. And in the middle is everybody else like you and me. My husband, when I first started this, was building a business. There was no way he was going to take vacations. And I had 5 weeks off as a corporate banker. That was the genesis of the whole idea. So there are 1,000 reasons why women are traveling by themselves, but don't want to go alone, which is sort of the definition of solo. I'm trying to think of some of the odder reasons. Well, not so odd. Husband had an organ transplant, can't go to exotic places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Recently divorced. Thinking about getting divorced. Oh, we get a lot of those. Thinking about it. Mother, daughter. Best friends from college. We had a woman who took her best friend on a trip because her best friend was ill and it was going to be the last trip she could take. So there are every reason, from happy to poignant.
And it seems like it's so much fun to travel with a group of women, and it gives you that ability to meet new people as well that you may not have in your own circle.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So if you travel solo, and I'm thinking of myself when I've been traveling solo. I was alone in Paris for 10 days. And so I went to see this major art exhibit, but I didn't have anybody to talk to about it. You know, I tried to talk to a few people. I speak French, and they were, oh my God, who is this creature talking to us? One doesn't do that in Europe. It's more fun if you can share the experience on the spot. Talk to the other women, have a good laugh, go to the bar and have a glass of wine and not feel uncomfortable. Be safer. Interestingly, we get a lot of questions about, it used to be about safety, then it segued to COVID, now it's back to safety. So being in a group, you have the safety factor, the potential friendship factor, and it's a special kind of friendship. It's one where you have a buddy while you're traveling, but you don't have an obligation when you get home. It's not another person you have to send a birthday card to, and it's not another person you have to invite for dinner. It's an opportunistic, momentary friendship that can be very fulfilling. And I have 1,000 different examples of that. So you were asking me about why women travel with other women. Bottom line, it's easy. Nobody is going to, and I say this having traveled with couples also, nobody's going to be the boss. Women tend to be caretakers. Did you lose something? I'll give it to you. Do you need something? I'll share it with you. That sort of thing. So it's very easy.
Oh, I think that's wonderful. Phyllis, I have to share a story with you. Years ago, I taken a group of women to Costa Rica. And so I actually got to play the leader, I guess, the tour leader. And, but we had a tour guide that actually your kind of organization that led it. And I have to share what happened the first night that we were there. And I want to hear, I bet you have had the same experience. We were all sitting there. Finally, everyone got there, and we had all these adventures that first day. And everyone said, oh my gosh, it's our first day. And we feel like it's been so much more time. And so one of the gals very wisely said, that's because we're stretching time. She says, when you come on a trip like this, you have so many new experiences happening that it's like time stretches. And so how I compare that is when my husband will go to a concert at night and he'll come home and I will not have done much. And it's like, wow, he's back already. Whereas if I decide I'm going to go with him, there's time getting ready and thinking about it. And then we have the trip down. And then when I get there, I see all these people I know, and then I get to see the concert. Do you see how the time stretches? Yeah. Whereas it's a way to get away from your routine, I guess, and just totally have these new experiences. And she said it was stretching time. So have you had that? Has anyone ever mentioned it? Does it make sense?
Well, I see time in a different format. And yes, I totally agree with you. Yeah. I see it more like a puzzle. On day one, you have, let's say, 10 different personalities. You're in a new place. Your puzzle is empty. On day two, people begin to share experiences. Somebody might say, that pyramid reminds me of whatever. Somebody might draw the pyramid. Somebody might take a picture of it. Somebody might climb it. So now little pieces of the puzzle start to find themselves. By the end of the trip, the puzzle is a picture. And the picture is a compendium of everybody's experiences as you see it. And everybody's picture is going to be different, but it's a full picture. And so I see this as when you're away from home, especially if it's your first trip, you have a little more anxiety. If it's not your first trip, you're anxious the night before, when most women don't sleep the night before a trip, by the way. You're anxious, and then very quickly, as that plane starts to descend and you see the dome of St. Peter's, or you see, the Sahara Desert, you begin to react to very exciting stimuli. And it's that sort of energy, and it's a type of hyper energy that carries you through the whole trip. And each little piece of that energy is time, and special time. It's not time cooking an egg. It's time seeing 100 different things on the street, especially if you go to exotic trips. We often say to women, it sounds counterintuitive, but if you're trying to get away from a situation, you're getting divorced, you've had a loss, go someplace exotic, because you will be hit by so much new stimulus that you will very quickly forget your personal issues. And that could be driving down the street in Delhi, in the central square of Marrakesh as the sun sets. The stimulus is so intense that every second becomes an hour. Is that in sync with the way you're thinking?
Absolutely. Oh my God. And I loved your analogy of the puzzle. And at the end, how you have everyone has their own painting. Oh my gosh, I have got goosebumps from that. So I think that really does describe it. And, here we are, we've been through a couple of years of pandemic, and just really, it's been pretty difficult. And everyone's chomping at the bit to go have that kind of experience. I've been watching tons of travel things on television, but it's not the same. So what are some of the top destinations that you see for travel for 2023?
Top destinations for women are a little different from top destinations for people generally. Number one is always Italy. It's ironic. Italy was the beginning area of the pandemic, and it came back the fastest. Top destinations are also because of news. Middle East. I was talking to she's a very well-known marketer who studies women the other day, and we talked about doing a trip with her, similar to what you and I are talking about. And she said, somehow I keep feeling myself gravitating towards the Middle East, Turkey, Dubai, because of its global position today, Qatar, because it's in the news every single day with this football thing that women aren't necessarily interested in soccer, but this is in the news every day. So I find that part of the world is very, very popular and very hot, and very safe, direct flights, no more visas. That's a consideration. For another reason, we could talk about it another time. No more testing, no more QR codes. Oh, we've been through that. No more PCR before you get on the plane. Wonderful food, wonderful shopping, easy. So that's really a big hotspot. Anywhere from, say, Greece, Turkey, Dubai, Qatar, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is being marketed a great deal right now to both women and couples. So that whole area, Morocco, Egypt. And I think it's because we couldn't go there for a while. In Europe, it's Italy, Italy, always Paris, sometimes London. And in South America, it's usually Chile, Easter Island, Patagonia, Buenos Aires. Those are the hotspots. We are still seeing resistance to Asia, long flights, peppers of COVID. And in the US, we are trying to do a New York City trip. New York City is expensive, but it's still popular. I live here and the streets are just flooded with tourists.
Yeah. Well, and you talk about expensive. I just read that a lot of people are flocking over to Europe because the dollar was stronger. Now I know it has come down a bit,
but it's very strong. Yeah.
Okay.
Is strong. Yeah. The euro is, I remember when the euro came out. The euro came out at 70 cents to the dollar, and it went up to, I want to say 135. Now it's back down to just a little over $1. But that doesn't take into consideration inflation. So yes, you can go shopping in Paris, and you should, by the way. Call me later, I'll tell you where. On the other hand, taxes are 15, 18%. Inflation kicks in. Same in Britain. London's still one of the most expensive cities in the world, and the pound is very low, but inflation's high. Not saying that you can't travel smart, and get your money's worth.
I remember when I was in Paris with my mother-in-law, we went shopping, and I remember getting this absolutely gorgeous two-piece sweater outfit. This had to be maybe 30 years ago, I'd say. 20, 30 years ago. And it was so ridiculously inexpensive. I couldn't believe it. And I was like a designer thing too, so it was really exciting to be able to get beautiful things like that and be able to afford it,
I hope you still have it.
I don't have it anymore, but I had it for quite a long time. So it was one of my favorite things that I got. And I wish I had bought several different outfits instead of just the one at the time. But that is exciting when you can do shopping. So did you mention some of the new areas? Because I remember listening to you on a webinar, and you were saying that women like doing things that are going to be different than the traditional. So if they do go to Italy, you mentioned that they may not want to go to the tourist traps. They may want to go to other areas. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. First of all, a lot of women have been to Italy. There's the heritage travel, right? Which is primarily Sicily. So a lot of women have already been to Italy, but Italy isn't just Rome and Venice. Right. So what we try to do, and we do this on all the trips, I think it's because I lived overseas for such a long time. I have a slightly different take on where you should go. We include places like the Boot, Apulia, the Amalfi Coast, but not just the fancy shishi jet setter areas. We include some villages. We include a Italian cooking course in a restored farmhouse in Tuscany. So we try to add unusual places. An example would be this summer, we'll be going to northern Italy, the Lake District. Well, we want to see if George Clooney's really there. Let's get down to basics. But we will be including a lot of neighboring areas that have maybe a very special, enormous monastery, or a fashion connection, or scenery you won't see anywhere else. So we try to get off just the major cities. We have to include them, but we will spread out to show you the real Italy.
Wow. And, I've been watching Somebody Feed Phil with Phil Rosenthal, and I think I don't know.
I have to look for that. Okay.
He was the producer for Everybody Loves Raymond.
Okay.
And he really goes in and he's always eating, somebody.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's always eating and he connects with people, but he really lets you see what those communities are like. And one of the places that he went to was Croatia. Mm-hmm. And I never even dreamed that it was such a beautiful place, and that it actually has all kinds of waterfalls and nature, and then it has some of the oldest, most magnificent buildings. That's some place I think that you've taken a group to as well?
Yes, we've taken a few. If you look at the map, and I will tell you, most women don't look at maps. Maps are fun. You look at the map, you see Italy down the middle. Look to the right. On the other coast is Croatia. And it has a lot of the same, azure water, gorgeous scenery, gorgeous seaports. It's a different country. Croatia did a lot of promotion a few years ago, and it was one of the first countries to open after the pandemic, giving a tremendous head start. Most people go to Croatia on a cruise, and that's because it's lots of little islands, and you want to go down the coast, close to the coast. It and other parts of Adriatic Italy were Byzantine. We're Ottoman. So there's a similarity in food, but not so much in culture, because Croatia was part of the Eastern Bloc. That also makes it interesting because we couldn't go there for a long time. But you have walled cities and magnificent islands, lots of little islands where nobody else is, and sea life. And it's It's easier to get to than it used to be. Now, we do some very unusual places. By way, kind of a business comment is I go to some of the European travel markets for wholesalers, and I look for where the Europeans are going now. It's not where Americans are going yet. We'll go in 5 years. And I look for places. One of them was Albania, same part of the world, formerly Ottoman, coastal, lots of little villages, gorgeous azure seas. We did a group to Albania. It filled immediately because women said, hey, that's a place I've never been to. We also gave it a theme. The theme was emerging nation. What is an emerging nation? And we had a lot of women very interested in how does a country become a country after it's been isolated? So same part of the world. If you are a traveler and you're looking for something different, take the core. Take Spain, Italy, Netherlands, go to the edges. On those edges are Portugal, Morocco, Albania, Croatia, Eastern Europe, and see what's on the edge and tiptoe into that and try it.
That sounds like so much fun. I love it. So, and I, it's like when you get to travel, you get to combine all these things, the culture, the food, the history, the architecture, the anthropology, the history of
politics
and the politics.
The history. I mean, the history of some of these places is pretty astounding.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So let's talk a little bit about safety tips for traveling too, because I think that's important. And I know one of the gal who introduced me to you, she said she's so concerned about, she has a selfish allergy. So I guess safety could be physical safety, but it could also be, you don't want to get sick.
That's true. First of all, let's talk about safety. There's street safety. We give people a list of safety tips, and some of them are simple, like don't wear expensive jewelry or expensive designer glasses. If you're carrying a purse, not a money belt thing, carry it away from the street side. Leave everything in the hotel safe except some cash and one credit card. I mean, that's maybe obvious to people. I live in New York, so this is my lifestyle every day. There's safety in terms of food. You have to know who you're traveling with. We have an inspection of every restaurant that our company stops at. If your booking form does not ask for allergies or special needs, you need to move on to another company. We have to ask for that. People have all kinds of allergies today. Not just shellfish, which is very dangerous, but a lot of gluten, feather pillows, perfume. We've had many women say, I can't be on a bus if somebody is wearing perfume. You have to be cognizant of other needs that people have that could be either upsetting or life-threatening. And if it's not on that booking form, move on. There's other safety. Is it safe to meet people overseas? Is your hotel in a safe area? I take the subway a lot in New York, and we've had some problems here. So the other day I was thinking, I'm not going to stop taking the subway. It's fast. It's cheap. It gets me where I need to go. And I thought, who could I stand next to where I would feel comfortable? We tell people when you're overseas, if you're feeling very uncomfortable, try to stand with women who have children with them or somebody wearing a uniform. You stop to look at something. The guide's moving too fast. You can't find your group. You want to find somebody who's wearing a uniform, a doorman, maybe a taxi starter, the manager of the store that you were looking in, and ask them for help. Most people want to help you. You will be nervous. You have to pull yourself together. Your flight is canceled. You pull yourself together. You get in the check-in line. I mean, we have documents for people to do all of this. And you look around and you talk to people. How are you handling this? What do you think I should do? And you ask for help. A lot of women don't want to ask for help, and that's a big mistake. So there's street safety. There's personal possessions safety. For heaven's sake, leave everything in the hotel safe. I mean, this is basic. And open it up the night before you're leaving in case it fails, something people don't think about. There's food safety. There's luggage safety. A conundrum for me is why people buy expensive luggage. It's kind of a message. Take my luggage. There's just common sense. If it's dark and it's nighttime, don't go unless you go with 2 or 3 other people. Just don't go. Been in markets I was in a market in Dakar while the sun was setting. That's when you leave.
Yeah, I bet.
People might be nice. My friend, who's a travel editor, by the way, was negotiating for something. And I finally said, I think it's time to go. When you're traveling, here's something travelers don't think about. We're talking about dark. Do you look at the time zone and the sunrise, sunset? So think about what you're going to be doing optionally on days when it gets dark early or it gets light very late. And that would be Scotland, Ireland, Iceland, Scandinavia. It can get light at 11:30 just before lunch. So that's something people don't think about, but that's by the by. But it's your responsibility.
Yeah. And we had my girlfriend, this is something I learned. Thank God I didn't have a group. It was my friend and I in Costa Rica, and she had her prescription sunglasses on. And we did the zip lines, and then we said, oh, we'll do the bridge tour. And we went all by ourselves. We didn't get a guide. And it was afternoon, like 2:00. Mm-hmm. And then we kept going deeper and deeper and deeper into the bowels of the, jungle down to the very bottom. And then there was a crash. We were all by ourselves, and, the walls go straight up with vines and butterflies and birds. And we didn't know what it was. We thought it was a jaguar or something, or, some kind of monkey. Electrical wire had fallen on the extension bridge. So here we are, and so of course I had to, to see if it was electrified. I don't know. I mean, it was so scary, but we got back to the stairs, and we didn't know how long it was going to take us to get out. And it was getting dark, and she had prescription sunglasses on, and it was the scariest thing we've ever done. And so we did finally make it out, right? Uh-huh. And of course, your whole life's passing before you're thinking, am I going to have to sleep down here? What am I going to do? Yeah. And we finally got out. But, it just makes me think that the importance of not making stupid mistakes, of having a tour guide, of going on a group. I don't know how many people are prepared to totally travel on their own. When I have travel on my own, I've been meeting up usually with a group, but I've, traveled, a little bit of it on my own. So can you talk about that? Because that would have been really scary to take a group of people down there and have something go wrong like it did with us.
Well, first of all, if you're traveling on your own, and I have done that many times in the past when I was less of a veteran, and actually I can share with you the very first time I ate a meal alone overseas. We moved to Great Britain, and my husband was running around the country for his job. And so I flew over after he found us a place to live, and I wanted to go out for dinner. I was nervous. Today, I'm thinking, why was I nervous? But I was nervous. It was dark. I went out for dinner. I chose a place that had outdoor tables. I thought maybe I'd be less conspicuous. I was still nervous. I pulled out a book and I started writing down why I'm nervous. And I read it after dinner and thought, I can get over this easily. The situation that you mentioned is one where you chose to do something by yourself. We have checked out virtually everything on every trip we run ahead of time. We're insured, and we want to make sure that we never have to claim on that insurance. I have been in that situation once, and my lesson I learned there is you just have to trust some people. My situation was we were in Cartagena with a group. Women and I decided to go wander around. It's a very safe place. It's almost Disney. It's Cartagena. It's a cruise port. Yeah, it's all renovated and everything's sparkling clean, and there are cruisers all over. We decided to take a walk. Lots of people seemed to be converging on the plaza. Oh, we thought this will be fun. Very quickly, people were running. The event in the plaza was a labor dispute. There were police with guns. I said to my friend/client, I think we better leave. Mainly because people were running, and I thought they could run over us. We didn't know what to do. I said, we're going to step in this building over here. She said, are you sure it's safe? I said, no, but we're going to step into this building. Some young boys said, they beckoned us. They said, come in, come in. I looked at them. I just thought, they look like nice kids.
Mhm.
We went in the building. We stayed there until the riot was over. Other people then joined us. And after it was over, these boys said, now we're going to walk you back to your hotel. Most people are nice. Most people. They were wonderful. They wouldn't even take a tip from us. So there is going to be a time when you are uncomfortable or nervous. That's when you have to screw your head back on and say,
Mhm.
what's the best thing for me to do? At that moment, I knew we had to get inside a building because we might be pushed over. I don't know if this will ever happen to anybody else. On the other hand, if you're with an organized group, the guide knows you should not be going to that market.
Right.
We went off on our own, like you went off on your own. It's wonderful to go off on your own. Take it slowly. Take it one step at a time before you plunge into a forest.
Right. And the thing is, we finally got up to the top, and it was so funny because we were so scared and there was a butterfly exhibit. And so we tried to get in there thinking we can sleep with the butterflies, right?
Right.
If it's that, and we couldn't get into it. And we're like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And then we heard voices and it's so funny. We opened the bushes and there's the parking lot. All of a sudden, reality comes back. We're safe. But we asked the men there, would you have come to find us? And they said no.
Well, that's disgraceful because we don't leave anywhere unless we find everybody.
Well,
Period.
but this is just a foreign country where, we chose not to have the guide. So I want to share with people, if you're going to a new place, get a guide because none of that would have happened. And we wouldn't have been in danger because there was a couple times there,
we
were.
By the way, guides are licensed.
Yes.
You don't just pick somebody off the street. You want to see two things. You want to see their license. You want to see their national identity card. Most citizens of other countries have something called a national identity card. If the person doesn't have that card, don't go with them.
Right. Very good. So what are some things that you would like to share with us? I'm thinking maybe ideas about packing. I am the absolute worst packer. And I remember I met some people on a trip that my mother-in-law and I took, and it was a husband and wife, and all they had was one small suitcase, and they were traveling, they said, for 2 weeks. And I remember her saying, well, we just have everything we have is black. And then we bring, like a couple accent things, like maybe a red scarf or something like that.
Okay.
And they were able to make it through their whole trip. And I've always been one to overpack and just not do a good job. So do you have suggestions for us?
Yes, definitely. I'll start off by saying, remember, I'm a group travel organizer. Packing to women is tied into, will I be accepted?
Mm.
It's not just what clothes. It's, will I look like the others? Am I as rich? Am I as poor as I am? Am I as thin as I am fat? It's all about feeling part of the group. So we try up front to make women know you're accepted. Be casual. If you look at the pictures on our site, these are women in leggings and t-shirts and very casual. So that's number one. What you wear is not how you will be accepted. You will be accepted because you're part of the group who want to go see Marrakesh. Number two, thank God for leggings. It doesn't matter if you weigh 175 or you weigh 99. Pack those leggings. Even in the Middle East, women are wearing leggings. Jeans are fine. Sneakers are fine. Yes, black. Yes, navy. Avoid fabrics that need to be dry cleaned, ironed, or washed, or that stain. Dark colors are just fine. You will notice overseas that most people don't wear our sunbelt colors. So if you don't want to look too American, don't go for the pastels. Mainly because you want to blend in a little bit more. It used to be only Americans wore white sneakers. Now everybody wears them. It used to be only Americans wore a lot of jewelry. That's still the truth. Don't wear any jewelry. Yes, a couple scarves. Yes, if you are packing some beautiful, colorful scarves and you covet them, don't pack them on the top of your suitcase. Bury them because we do know of small, light, expensive things that have been removed from the top of suitcases. So bury, you have your favorite designer scarf, bury it. Yes, invest $100 and do laundry if you're on a 2-week trip. Just do it. It's worth it. But go with leggings, t-shirts, puffers. Everybody's wearing a puffer today.
And what is a puffer?
A down-filled jacket.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like we all wear in the North. 2 pairs of shoes, 1 sneakers, 1 dark walking shoe, maybe even sneaker based. Also, the heaviest stuff that you pack is personal products. That's shampoo, conditioner, moisturizer. If you can't pack it in tiny bottles and you're going almost anywhere, including Tehran, you can buy it. So don't pack all that. The heaviest are products. The second heaviest are shoes. There are certain brands of shoes that weigh nothing today. Allbirds, that's an example.
Boy, what great tips.
I can tell you the format with which I pack. I put everything out a week before. I put it out on a sofa. Every day I put something away. Some days I put 2 things away. The last day, I do not allow myself to throw anything in. Last day is the danger day. Maybe I need this. Maybe I could use that. I always love that shirt and I just bought this. The day before you leave, don't put anything else in that suitcase.
You know what I find the biggest problem is when you don't do that, because if you're rushed and you're doing it at the last minute, you're just throwing everything in.
Right.
And
Don't do it. Don't do it.
So I love that. And you know what I have done is I go down to Costa Rica and Panama, like I said, quite a bit. And so when I came back, I actually wrote down what are the things I actually used, and I keep that list.
Mm-hmm.
So then that's all I have to pack.
Very good. Yeah, that was the next thing, is have a list, especially a list of odds and ends of things. My travel list has things on it like call the bank, put my computer away, contact AT&T, I'll be overseas, bring 2 company checks, bring extra charger for my phone, bring external battery, don't forget saline for your eyes. I mean, it's a list like that, like you have, and I refine it from time to time. I just added a new thing onto it, trying to remember what it was. Oh, a vaccination card. It's a very good idea to bring your original vaccination card.
Oh, okay, because I have it on my phone. I have a picture of it, but that's probably not as good.
It's still, still here and there. There'll be a museum that wants it, a lecture hall, concert hall. Every now and then it's still asked for. A QR code from the United States is not read overseas because it's in English and it doesn't have whatever the specifications are overseas. So it's still a good idea to bring the original card and keep it in a safe place with your passport.
Beautiful. We're nearing the end of the show, and I would love for you to share, because I would love to plan something with you. So I want our listeners to watch for that special Smart Women trip. And how can people find you? And I think you have a special bonus for people that reach you through Smart Women.
Absolutely. First of all, make sure you tell me that you came from Smart Women. And we created a code, but you can just tell me on the phone, 646-309-5607. 646-309-5607. That's a New York number, Eastern time, obviously.
And your website?
Our website is don't forget, the Women's, WOMENS, travelgroup.com. The Women's, WOMENS, travelgroup.com. So it's you have to put the at the beginning. Our Facebook page is Tours for Women. It's important to look at Facebook. It's important to get an idea of the personality of the person running the trips. Real pictures of women, real comments of women, tips, smart news. It gives you an idea of whether they know what they're doing, or they're just selling all the time.
And just give us some of the trips you have coming up, just to give us an idea for 2023.
In February, we have a group going to Mexico City. In April, we go to Morocco. It's a different trip. It's based in Marrakesh. I mean, why not start in the most famous place in Morocco? It's based in Marrakesh. It's in April because the mountains are still snow-capped. So it makes it particularly beautiful. But we do all kinds of trips all year round. We do some solo priced cruises, river cruises, not ocean going. We do Patagonia, Easter Island, Northern Italy, Provence. We have lots of different trips, and I like the exotic, and we're almost full on our Saudi Arabia trip.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
With an add-on to Qatar. And almost everybody chose to go to Qatar also.
I tell you what, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us, Phyllis. I mean, this really has been informative. And I think anyone who's been listening feels a lot more confident now about taking a trip. And it's exciting to know there's an opportunity like this.
Well, thank you very much. And it's fun to meet you, and we'll do something fun.
I think we will. Yeah. So I have some ideas for you. So thanks for being here. And everyone, thank you so much for coming to Smart Women Talk. We love having you coming to our show. And for those who want to get on our list, go to joinsmartwomen.com and you won't miss anything because you'll know who's going to be on the show and you'll get all the tips and links directly to their sites. So thank you. And until next show, go out and live with more purpose, passion, and prosperity. Smart Women Talk is brought to you by Smart Women's Empowerment, a 501c3 nonprofit project of United Charitable. Music by Bill Lucas from his album When It Rains. Available on Apple Music and Spotify. Catch us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, and be sure to join our free community at joinsmartwomen.com to access all our free Smart Women resources.